We'll wait another few seconds for Megan to join and
Okay.
then we'll start. Well, I think if we start talking, it'll warm up.
Oh, wait, here's Megan.
All the hot air. All right, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. Laura, would you do the roll, please?
Commissioner Sill,
Here.
Commissioner Chung,
Here.
Commissioner Koch. Oh, I'm sorry, Vice Chair Koch,
Yeah, here.
Commissioner Wilson,
Yeah.
and Chair Ross.
Here. Welcome, everybody, to the December 12th, 2022 meeting of the Architectural and Site Control Commission. Excuse me. We have a relatively short agenda tonight. Before we get started, I'll open oral communications and invite any member of the public who would like to address us on a subject that is not on our agenda tonight to raise your hand and speak up. We have two members of the general public in the audience who are candidates, and also if you're online, press the raise your hand button and Laura will recognize you.
So we want to start in someone in Zoom. Tina Lovazano, I'm not sure if you're actually raising your hand for this. We promoted, but I don't know if there's a confusion with the applicant. So I'm just gonna ask this person to unmute and see if it's someone who's for oral communications or for the project.
Okay, just lower hand maybe?
Okay,
This is Bruce, actually with Tina. Can you hear me okay?
yeah, we can hear you.
I'm sorry, I don't have a problem over here.
Okay, so we're good for now. We're on oral communications, so we'll be able to hear you when we get to your item.
Am
We
I
also-
on screen? Can you see me? I apologize. I just want to know if you could see me.
We cannot. We can hear you
Oh,
fine,
okay.
but we cannot see you.
Okay, I don't know if I can get my face on here or not, but anyway, we'll keep going, sorry.
Okay, we have a phone number ending in 7562. Please go ahead, Caroline. Caroline, can you unmute on your end? Caroline, can you hear us? 7562. Okay, through the chair, I would propose that if we check to see if we have any commenters from the room for oral communications, and we can come back.
I'm sorry.
Oh, here she
Every
is.
time I unmute, you mute me. So it doesn't work that way.
Hello, Carol. Welcome.
Thank you. We cannot access this Zoom meeting. The document says that it doesn't exist. I just wanted to let you know.
I'm sorry, I'm not following. You're on the Zoom meeting, so that makes us think that you're able to access the Zoom meeting?
No, I can pull up all the information and I'm accessing you guys through my phone, but I cannot use the computer to access the virtual participation via Zoom. It says the documents.
In the packet to join.
So there's other people on the meeting that did use the link in the packet. So I'm sorry if you're having trouble accessing it, but there are other people in the meeting.
The dog barks. Put him in our room.
Okay, Bruce and Tina, I'm going to go ahead and mute you if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm sorry, we're on oral communications. Caroline, are you still, did you wish to speak? I'm not
Why
sure
don't
how
we-
what you'd
we'll
like to
wait
do.
and See if Caroline
Okay.
reconnects.
Okay.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak online?
There's no one else online. We have a total of 3 people, attendees online.
And would anybody in the audience like to speak? Seeing no hands, I'll close oral communications with the proviso that if Carolyn reconnects, we can listen to her comment. We have one item of new business on the agenda tonight. This is item number 1. It is an architectural and site development review for a new single-family residence with a basement, a detached garage, an ADU, which is actually not part of our review, a pool, hardscaping and landscaping. The address is 241 Georgia Lane, and it is the property of Lavazano. And it is exempt from CEQA, and we have a presentation prepared by Ralph Robinson on staff. Welcome, Ralph. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Ross. Can you all hear me okay, for starters?
No problem.
Great. Let me get started with this then. And can you all see the presentation okay as well?
Yes. Yep.
Excellent. Great. Well, thank you for that quick introduction. As you just covered, we are talking about 241 Georgia Lane this evening. So we have a architecture review and site development permit up for discussion to build a new main residence, detached garage, pool, landscape, and hardscape improvements. There's also, as the chair noted, an ADU, which is not up for consideration by the ASCC this evening. Here we can see the site. So it's approximately 1 acre site that is oriented as a flag lot by the northwest corner of Georgia Lane and Grove Drive, with access off of Georgia Lane. The property owner previously completed a lot line adjustment that was approved by the Planning Commission in September of 2021 with their neighbor at 281 Georgia Lane. That created the kind of flagpole portion for access to the lot from Georgia Lane. So here we see the proposed site plan, which includes the main house, detached garage, pool, and ADU, as we said. The applicant is taking advantage of the 5% single story bonus for this project, which increases their max available floor area of 5,293 square feet, 85% of which would be 4,490 square feet. Now they're replacing an approximately 1,000 square foot existing residence with a 4,006 square foot main residence with a 1,680 square foot basement, as well as a detached 693 square foot garage. So this brings their total MFA to 4,600 and 999 square feet. In addition, with the 800 square foot ADU, that will max out this property for their available floor area. So here we see the basement level floor plan, as well as the proposed main level floor plan. Again, this is a single story development, so this constitutes all of the development on the property. You'll see the detached 3-car garage here. And here are renderings of the front elevation of the house facing Georgia Lane. So again, based on the single story 5% bonus, the maximum vertical, the vertical and maximum height limit on this would be 18 feet. And the proposed is going to go right up to that 18 feet with some vertical projection exceptions for the chimneys, which you can see here. And here's the rear portion of the property facing the creek. It's the Corta Madera Creek. So as you can see in the renderings, the proposed proposed materials are primarily this gray wall tile. The LRV for all these materials is consistent with the Portola Valley Municipal Code standards. Now, Megan, I believe you brought up the field meeting whether we have a physical sample of this available. So we do not collect the physical sample with the ASCC application. However, if there are any concerns about the the lightness of this wall tile, if you will, we could condition that as part of the building permit. If they submit that physical sample, and we would confirm that LRV value again, just to confirm it's not as light as maybe it shows up in the rendering. We see the black trim here for the windows and doors, as well as this lighter color for the roof and edge trim. Quickly on this too, so it's a flat roof. The applicant is also planning to install solar as part of this project. So that was the motivation for the flat roof there. So impervious surfaces. So we're going up close to our maximum impervious surface area of 7,367 square feet. Much of this is to accommodate the porch, patio, and walk areas, which you can all see kind of shaded in here around the residence. There's also about 3,000 square feet of driveway, which is exempt once we get 100 feet from the corner of the residence here, as well as some limited area for geo block, so partially impervious guest parking area. That's a 500 square foot area. Based on the municipal code, we count half of that towards the impervious surface total. Landscaping totals, so the water use is within their MAWA maximums, so 78%, as you can see here. Native species are primarily used here, and drought tolerant species. You can see we have 17 new trees in all being planted here, 10 of which are the non-fruit bearing olive variety and 7 western redbuds. Now, as we'll discuss, looking at the planting plans themselves here you can see the front lawn planting. So we have the driveway on the left, and then we have the new olive species being planted in the front here with a few of those red buds along the right side here. And then we have the rear planting plan. So we have some native mixes in the rear leading up to the creek. The existing trees you can see here as well. One item for additional consideration and maybe worth a condition within the conditions of approval, I've kind of outlined in here in that red circle. That is a line of Portugal laurel, which was discouraged by the Conservation Committee in their comments. It was kept in as part of the landscaping plan, but as that was the only outstanding comment on that plan, we decided to move ahead to the ASCC meeting. And we did bring this up as part of our field meeting, and the applicant at that point communicated his willingness to change that species and the orientation of those plantings to be less linear. But I'll also let them speak to that more in their comments. And again, the commission may wish to condition the project on changing this species again, as it's a non-approved species for Portola Valley. We also have some fencing proposed, including a front gate at the front of the driveway here. So here you can see the design of the gate. This went back and forth with staff a couple of times to ensure the height of this gate and fence, as well as the required opacity for this, met the 50% requirement for gates and fences in the front yard. We also have a section of the driveway being enclosed by this wall, which you can see the design of which on the top left is just a pretty straightforward masonry wall. A lot of the other properties also going to have a porch fence around the rest of it. So you can see this 4-foot tall 3-rail horse fence outlined in green along the front of the property here. In orange is where we have you can see our swinging front gate at the front here, as well as our wood post and our wood post fence along the front portion of the parking area here. And then continuing in the back, that transitions to a masonry wall. And again, this 4-foot wood horse fence extending to the rear of the property, but not along the portion abutting the creek itself. As part of the project, we have 3 significant tree removals. So you can see those labeled here. The first one, tree number 2, these are all coast live oaks for reference. The first is to accommodate the driveway itself. The second, tree number 3, is in the area where the main house is being constructed. And then tree number 5, also coast live oak in the rear, that is being removed as the roots are thought to interfere with the construction of the pool and ADU as well. So that's being removed to mitigate any potential adverse impacts from the tree on those structures. Now, it was observed when we were at the field meeting that there was some kind of nest in tree number 5. I know Commissioner Wilson thought it may have been perhaps a dusky-footed, assuming if I say this correctly, dusky-footed wood rat. That is something we could condition as far as having that inspected and relocated if necessary. Again, if it's presuming it's not a squirrel nest, could be included in the conditions of approval. And I did just want to bring it up again, as it was a subject of conversation during the field meeting. Now, the site development permit is subject to ASCC review. Here we can see the total soil movement proposed, much of the cut for the building pad itself, as well as some for the pool. Those figures are not subject to the ASCC review, but we do have some amount of fill in the site work as part of this project. Altogether, 371 cubic yards, up to your review here. Now, the site itself is relatively flat, so nothing too dramatic as far as the excavation work being done. Again, other than cutting out what's needed for the building in the basement. But we are bringing it up here as part of our requirements and process. Exterior lighting is limited to, we see the yellow fixture, the wall lanterns, those shielded wall lanterns at the doorways. And then we have 2 other recessed lights at the front entryway. Otherwise, we don't have path lighting, landscape lighting, certainly no uplighting of trees, bushes, anything like that. So overall, limited amount of outdoor lighting, and all fixtures comply with town requirements for output. There was a public notice mailed to all property owners within 300-foot radius. Excuse me, that should read December 2nd, not December 12th. At this point, we've received no public comments prior to this meeting, prior to the packet or this evening. The applicant did provide their neighbor notification certification back in March at the time of their original application. So again, outside of the applicant itself, we've not heard any comment on this item. So staff is recommending that we complete this review and that the ASCC either offer feedback or additional conditions and then approve this project, both the architecture review and the site development permits, subject to either the conditions included in attachment 1 or again, a modified condition of approval. A couple of things for consideration, we brought up them, excuse me, again, of course, the potential replacement of that Portugal laurel, as well as the further inspection of that tree in the backyard, see, make sure there's no nests to be considered there. Otherwise, we find this to be a fairly, straightforward project. We had, 4 of the commissioners on site and get a chance to read the building locations and really see, I think it's a pretty well sheltered site from other properties. And again, we're not anticipating too many impacts from this project overall. So I'm of course available for any questions from the commission. We also have the property owners, the Lovazanos, available on the line, as well as the architect, Christian Rufin, if I believe I'm saying that name correctly. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that person. And that was all I have for you for now. I leave my time back to you.
Great. Thank you, Ralph. Before we go to the applicant presentation, commissioners, do you have any questions for staff? For Ralph or for Laura? Nothing from Megan, Kenny? No, Alan?
I had one question. You said there was no response from any of the neighbors that lived within 300 feet. Do you remember how many neighbors there were? Just when we were out there at the site, I didn't feel like there was very many, so I'm guessing that it was only a few anyway.
I don't know, I'm afraid. So I didn't, so that would have been of our one of our other permit techs who mailed that out. I could pull up the mailing list if you'd like while we're waiting. If there's any other questions in the meantime, I could look that up if you'd like.
I'm curious, this is an unusual property in the sense that it's not the neighbors that are likely to be impacted, that the people who walk along Georgia Lane use it as a trail, either to get to Ormondale or just, as a way to get around in Portola Valley, are more likely to be impacted than the neighbors in this case, just because I don't think there are very many neighbors. But there's a fair amount of foot traffic that goes by there.
Right.
But yeah, that's fun. Thanks.
Jane, any questions?
Just one. I did read that the chimney height's already been reduced by 12 inches from the original plans somewhere in the details. Is that correct? That the chimneys have come in taller and then they've been reduced by 12 inches?
I'm sorry, just to clarify, so you said that the chimney was reduced in height based on the notes in the plans? Or?
Yes, it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And I just had one quick question, Ralph. On the masonry wall, has a finished color been identified for that?
No, so that would be part of a review for the final here. So Christian, I don't know if you have that identified.
I don't, there was a discussion about that and in that it will probably be a different wall construction, if you will, from the building. We'd like to keep a congruous or a similar material on that landscape wall to match the building. So yes, I mean the intent is to get a material that's of similar color to the main house.
Thank you very much. No other questions for staff, so I'll turn it over to the applicant to add some details or make a presentation if you wish. And if you'd like to share your screen, if you have something to show us, just let Laura know. And you can do that.
Maybe what we should do is just have the owners maybe express a couple of thoughts. Bruce and Tina, do you, or Bruce, do you wish to interject here?
Bruce and Tina, I'm just going to unmute you. I don't know if you're having any. Oh, I can't unmute you. I'm just going to ask you to unmute. You should be able to unmute on your end.
I will text him as well.
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
unmuted. So anyway, first of all, Ralph, I want to thank you for all your help. When I met you out there, I didn't get your name, Ralph. I didn't know you were the guy that helped us so far along. So I want to thank you because you've been very helpful the whole time with Chris and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So it kind of caught me off guard. I didn't know I was going to do a presentation. I thought it was just going to be a question and answers, but
Not required.
well, I mean, I can answer any questions you want. We have grandkids. I've lived in born and raised in Portola Valley. I lived right next to Ormondale School. So we've been our whole life. My dad's still here. My mom passed away in Portola Valley. So we're Portola Valley natives. And long story short, we're gonna build a house. And then when I already told the story, but one of the persons from the conservation committee came out and said, "I want you to do a basement," and I didn't know it. So then I changed the basement because we have grandkids. We have 4 now. So we're trying to find a house that can house 4 grandkids at the same time. So that's why we added the basement when we found out we could. Want to do a 1-story house, more of a modern house. I've done like Spanish Mediterranean house, the last one I lived in, and I got tired of anyway, I just changed it up. So, and we're really trying to get into solar now. I'm trying to take advantage of solar. So I put the flat roof, 1-story house, so I could put the solar panels on the roof. Like I was saying, I had a pitched roof on the last one I put solar panels on. It was a tile roof in Mediterranean. It looked horrible because it just, because it had to face the sunlight, and where it sat in the house just looked bad. So I don't want to do that on this house again. So I put the flat roof so I wouldn't see the roof on the panels. And then, we're going to try to do as much solar on the house as we can. Again, I don't know what the situation with gas is. I want to get a gas cooktop. That would be my main thing in the whole house, is to cook with gas. I don't really need gas for anything else. I said mainly I do maybe 1 gas fireplace, the focal fireplace, but the rest would be electric fireplaces, because I showed you some samples. I actually really liked them and I think they're nice. And then I'm back and forth about the heat pumps or gas water heaters. I mean, that's the only thing that would be the other gas thought. If I could get heat pumps and they will, if I design a system and the heat pumps will work, I'll go with heat pumps instead of gas heaters. The landscape, I can make the changes of landscape. I'm not a landscape expert. I had a guy come in and he was a little I'm not going to knock him because he's in here to protect, talk for himself, but he was a little hard to deal with. And I don't know a lot about landscape. So I'm leaving it to you guys to kind of guide me through what you need and what you like and what would be better suited than what we showed on the drawings. Because that's not a huge issue for me, because most of the house is going to be native in the back and native kind of in the front. We're just trying to do, he was trying to do some kind of, something that would match the house a little bit as far as what landscaping he was do, but we can, we can work with that. That's not a problem. The fencing will be open fencing on the left and right hand side. I don't want to be closed off. So I guess the only reason we really have any trees or anything or plants on the left and right hand side is just maybe we have a wall of a landscape wall of something for the house on the left when it eventually gets built, in this house, so that they have a separation wall. But as far as the right hand side, Andrew's so far away, unless he's not going to complain about seeing my fence or my house, I'll probably not have that much not such a large landscape wall, but that'll just kind of determine on if he wants it or if it's okay with the committee. That's what I got for right now. So go ahead and ask me any questions if you want.
Yeah, Bruce, maybe I could interject with, provide a little bit of background on the design.
Okay.
If I could share my screen.
You can go ahead.
Okay, here we go. All right, so let's go with this. Can you see my screen currently?
No, not yet.
No? Okay, hang on a second. Screen one. How about now?
Nope, not yet.
Okay.
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, so originally, BJ and I's relationship goes back over, I would say 10, 15 years. BJ, how long we've been working together? Probably about long. Anyway, they wanted a more of a modern house design. These are some of the early idea photos of a house in Spain. There, we originally talked about doing the wall material as a stone, in essence, a stone veneer, along with this horizontal band flat roof. And then the other elements that really struck out for us were these vertical elements, were the chimneys and fireplaces and outdoor fireplaces. Basically, they protrude above the roof line. So that kind of basically lent the idea for us to pursue the vertical and horizontal elements that you see in our proposal. So this is another photo of that house in Spain. This is the additional one. And then we wanted to have, in essence, big expanses of glass, or as large as we could get. This is another, we finally tuned it down to a different approach in using this wall tile. This is another house project where we fine-tuned our design a little bit more. And this is just another idea for the horizontal vertical elements, but this incorporates the wall tile scenario. It's another picture of the house. So we're trying to replicate this style of house, and we felt that our site really lent itself well to doing that. In that we had the constraints at the 18-foot max roof. We were hopeful that we could at least have these vertical elements protruding above the roof line. This porcelanosa wall tile is very versatile, and it's also helps with the wildland interface restrictions. Excuse me. This is just more along the lines of the fireplaces that we're proposing. There's an outdoor fireplace on the outdoor patio by the pool, but this is kind of like what we're proposing, very rectilinear elements. So, and then glass for glass, if there's a question on glass, we're hoping to use a Solar Band 60 product or something similar. Because I know that there was a requirement in Portola Valley for a specific kind of glass. So this is, if there's a question about glass, this is our answer to that. That's basically it in terms of specific, I would say specific inspiration of elements. So yeah, I can answer any other additional questions as they come up, but we'll just, I'll just bring it back to the commission.
Great, thank you. Commission members, do you have any questions for the applicant team? Kenny? None?
No questions for me. Thanks.
Okay. Megan, any questions?
The question that I would have is, can we get a sample of this wall tile? Because I think that is the one element that appears to be a little more in the white tones. So if we can get some samples in, the commissioners and I talked about this today, that could be a condition of approval.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll get you some samples. I'll bring, yeah, no problem. I'll get them to you.
Great, and then I do have a question that maybe is more for Laura right now, is the use of gas for the range, as well as could be, heat pumps or whatnot. Is the applicant still able to qualify for that as a source of these, the fireplace as well? Because we understand that electric is definitely going to be the pathway that most California residential will take.
There was a discussion with my Title 24 consultants. Supposedly, Portola Valley still allows gas usage.
Laura, did you have anything to add to that? We just want to make sure that, they're putting in the appropriate feed lines into the home.
Yes, thank you. The town council did pass green building amendments along with the building code cycle. And so all of the projects that are approved in this calendar year are approved by ASCC, are automatically subject to the old building code. So the one that's in effect right now. So this project will be allowed to have gas. Moving forward, and projects that ASCC reviews over the next couple of months, we are going to do some small exceptions for a couple of projects that were well underway, but people should be aware that the code has now changed, that in general, new projects starting in 2023 will have to be electric only. So they will not be allowed to have gas for new houses. Now, there's always some details and some fine points. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to go through my team. But this project is subject to today's code. They are allowed to have gas.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Al, do you have any questions for the applicants?
I don't.
And Jim?
Yes. Do you have a picture of the garage door, please? Because looking at the plans, it looks like it could be entirely glass.
I don't know if Chris showing, it's glass panels and metal frame, I think. Is that what we have, Chris?
Yes, I don't have a cut sheet of that unless I had it on the original cut sheet. The thought was to have a glass, an aluminum style garage door, yes.
Right, but totally glass apart from the framing.
Correct. More to mimic the glass of the building, if you will. I mean, we did have a wood slat type garage door at one time, but it just didn't seem to fit in with the rectilinear elements that we are proposing. So we nixed that idea and went back to to this version, or this type of garage door.
Yeah, so in other words, the panels will be glass. We'll have a frame with glass panels. Yeah, several glass panels. It'll be, it'll be several glass panels. Yeah, not one glass panel, obviously.
Right, I'm just a little concerned about light pollution because obviously inside the property you can have, if there were neighbors that could see the lights or said anything, you could obviously put curtains or blinds or something, but you wouldn't put blinds in a garage. And as Chair Ross might discuss later, if you've got garage lights on, it sort of lights up for everybody walking past. They know exactly what's going on in there. And if you're working in the garage, it's just an extra thing with the glass panels. But I'll see what the other commissioners think later.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Jane.
We could do like a tinted glass or something like that, or privacy glass.
Right.
Any other questions for the applicant?
No. Thank you.
Do I understand the applicant's response to that is that you'd be okay with an opaque glass?
Yeah, like a tinted glass or privacy glass. It's really just more of a feature than it is for me to look outside the garage door or bring light out. It's just, it's just a feature. It's the architectural element looking at the garage door. It's not getting light in and out of the garage, if that makes any sense.
It does. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, I don't have any questions. If there are no other commissioner questions, then I will open public comment for
Um,
this. Oh,
Through the chair,
yes.
our planning commission liaison, Judith Haskell, has her hand up.
Oh, great.
Sorry, guys.
Hello, Judy.
Quick question. I know that Georgia Lane has paths on it, and I don't know if you had commented on whether or not the Trails and Paths Committee had reviewed. So I'll let you address that whenever is appropriate in this discussion. Thanks.
Thank you, Judith. Yeah, I think the property is pretty well separated from Georgia Lane, actually by somebody else's property, except for the driveway. So the Georgia Lane pathway doesn't actually cross the property. All right. Are there any members of the public that would like to address us on this item? I see one hand up in the physical audience. So I will call on Ms. Powell.
Thank you. Well, my purpose is to speak on behalf of the animals that are obviously going to migrate over to the creek that's there. I understand there's been a big push to not allow.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Usually there's a chair. Feel free to pull up a chair behind, or we can go to the podium. You have to get pretty close to that mic, sorry.
Having spoken at length with the town staff about in the last year or so about public access to that creek and about how precious that creek is for the migration of animals in and out and around that creek, which is right next door. I want to speak on behalf of the animals who are now going to have all this light pollution because of all this wonderful glass. The prototypes that are being shown, Christian, I'm offended by the fact that we would try to use as a model for a Portola Valley woodland home that is right next to basically a migratory corridor for wildlife, that we'd want to look at a picture of a property that looks down on Cabo San Lucas on Los Arcos. I mean, that is not the picture that I want for Portola Valley. I am not here to take my little cruise to Cabo. I am here because I want the animals in our community to be able to be going to the creek without having a huge amount of light pollution. And Jane, I really appreciate your bringing to the forefront glass doors on a garage. And the response from the applicant that that's because it somehow ties in better architecturally is offensive to me, because we all know what happens when you have a garage door that has glass panels on it. It spills all this light out. I am also offended by the amount of glass that is all over this whole structure. And if there's a way to at least do some type of glass that doesn't project light out as much as what it appears to be. But if the model is of this wonderful home that is perched on a cliff looking out over the Pacific Ocean or the Gulf, that's to me the wrong model. Also, I'd be very interested, I didn't quite hear or get a sense of the picture of the fences, because what I have observed over the 42 plus years that I've lived in Portola Valley is that more and more people are putting up fences that obstruct the pathways of animals cruising in and around the community. And I would very much want to see the fence structure be such that at least there was an escape route for animals to get cut through, or there was an area. I don't know if anyone has looked at what are the migratory patterns right now of animals going in and around and through this property. And if there is a clear path from that creek up around through this property, I think we need to look at that. And I think we need to look at whether or not the animals, whether they're going to have any outlets to the creek, because I think that should be considered. In addition, I had always understood that there were actually codes in Portola Valley that protect the night sky compliance. And when I saw the number of outdoor lights, I can't imagine that this property needs, how many outdoor lights are there on this property? 12. I can't imagine that you need all that many outdoor lights. And if there are that many outdoor lights then I think that someone needs to make sure that you look at the wattage or the whatever maybe they don't use watts anymore with the LED light fixtures, but whatever it is, I think someone needs to look at what the brightness factor is of all those many lights all around the property. Because to me, this property looks like a huge outdoor eyesore that belongs on the cliffs looking out over Cabo San Lucas, which would be a wonderful place for this property, thank you. But I don't think it belongs in Portola Valley. And that's my 2 cents. Thank you for listening.
For
Sorry,
your comments.
would you mind putting your name into the record? It's your choice, but
Oh, sure. I found it. My name is Nancy Powell and I live at 237 Canyon Drive, Portola.
thank you. We'd just like to get it on the recording.
Sure.
Are there any other speakers or public comments? Anybody online, Laura?
There are no hands up online.
All right, I'll close public comments and return this to commissioners for discussion.
I'm sorry, through the chair. Now there's a hand up.
Oh, great.
It looks like Caroline again.
Hello, Caroline.
You should be able to unmute on your end, Caroline.
Good evening. I was able to resolve my issue by pasting the link, and we tried by Safari. The reason why I brought up why we could not access the link is because it has mentioned by other residents during several other committee meetings. So the more we spent on communication, it seems the less we can communicate in Portola Valley. But anyway, that's besides the point. I'm very excited that we have native Portola Valley residents trying to improve the neighborhood. But yes, I understand Ms. Powell's concerns. But I also, I'm not clear after Ms. Haskell raised the question, am I looking at the wrong property? Because I don't see any other property close to Georgia Lane. And so we have some concerns about the creek, and then we have concerns about the fire evacuation barricades next to that property. How is that going to affect when construction is ongoing? And then how is that going to affect the people using Georgia Lane to go to Ormondale? Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments, Caroline. Anybody else?
There are no other hands up.
Okay, now I will close oral communications and return this item to commission members for discussion. Would anybody like to volunteer to start? All right, I'll call on Megan.
Hello. So I think it is a fabulous project. I appreciate the interest in using solar, and a single story home, of course, is always ideal. I would really love to see a physical tile sample, since the majority of the building will be that. And just to make sure that it does appear to be light enough to the eye as well, even if the color has a rating that is acceptable. I just want to make sure that it is warm, soft, natural, and not a white. And then let's see what else. I'm fully in support of them, getting the gas line hookup, as long as this will be approved before the end of 2022. I know that there are several different species of bushes that can be used, and just myself going on to the Town of Portola Valley website, you can even sort by shrubs. And there's quite a few on there that can be a great option for the homeowner. And but other than that, I think it's great. I think actually the light count, the landscape light count is pretty minimal, and they're all within our lumen appropriate for dark sky compliant. Certainly any skylights in the house should have shading capability. So at night, when you do have the interior lights on, that those shades can be drawn close as to not spill light into the sky for our beautiful star viewing. So I think this is a great project. I understand why they'd want to build such a spectacular home there, and there doesn't seem to be a wildlife migration movement deterrent with the creek being open, and then just the low fencing along the sides. So I can support that as well. But other than that, I'm excited to see something come into this beautiful piece of land.
Great. Thank you, Megan. Let's have your comments, Al.
Okay. Yeah, I would say I'm generally in agreement with Megan's take. I think that the proposal is an attractive, creative design, and I do think it fits with the type of housing we're seeing in Portola Valley now. So I don't see a particular problem with it fitting in. I do think that the skylights and the amount of windows would merit a plan on shades so that the house doesn't glow in the evening. And I do like the idea of changing the garage door to some sort of opaque glass. In terms of landscaping, I do have an objection to the line of the Portugal laurel along the western side and rear. It's not a good species and it's too linear. I think that something like lemonade berry or sugar bush or toyon are actually a mix of those planted in a way that it's not a line. So just kind of spread out randomly in that general area to give you the screening that you want, but it would look much more natural. The proposal now is not appropriate. I think the water use is acceptable. I think that the steel entry gate is pretty attractive. I'm not a huge fan of gates, but if you're going to have a gate, I think that one looks pretty good. I'm not concerned about the fencing since it doesn't completely encircle the lot, and there will be a path for animals to get to the creek, and then the horse fence really isn't a particular barrier to most of the animals in Portola Valley. So I think from the animals' point of view, it's almost like there's no fence. I think that the lighting is pretty good, really. We see proposals that probably have 5 to 10 times as much light, and then we really have some heartburn, but this doesn't have any path lights, and the lighting is all in close to the house. I thought that the materials look good. I do think that we should have a review of the wall tile when it's finalized. I think it's great that it's a single-story house that really minimizes the impact it has on the community. I find the design to be quite attractive. I didn't see any issue with the proposed tree removals. They looked reasonable. In general, the plant palette was fine, except for the one area that I highlighted. I thought that the staff analysis on the findings and conformance to the design guidelines was good. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I'm in favor of this. I think that I'd like to see a few changes. The garage door to the opaque glass, we need to review the wall tile. We got to review the motor court wall design, and then we need to replace the laurel hedge. But I'd say it's 99% there.
Great. Thank you all. Jane,
All
your
right.
comments.
Yes, thank you. I'm in agreement with Al on the Portuguese laurel. I think lemonade berry and sugar bush would be a good substitute for the Portuguese laurel that are planted in a line. Plus those are natives, and obviously the Portuguese laurel isn't. With the landscape plan, it basically looks like he's put in an awful lot of plants which aren't necessarily going to do well in that location. And I think it's overplanted essentially all everywhere. So I think you might want to go a little bit back to the drawing board and consider the native plants that we have in the area. You're in a, as we found out today, quite a dark area of town. And so they're not going to get a lot of sunlight. So it's not going to look Mediterranean there because of the shade of the canopy of the trees, etc. So probably reconsider your landscaping plan, but definitely take those Portuguese laurel out. I agree with the other commissioners, and I'd like to see the tile finally. And with the garage door, definitely please put in some sort of opaque glass. Because you're in such a public walkway, you might want to consider some opaque glass in other areas, because if a lot of people are going to be able to see straight into the house as they're walking past, but that's just a consideration. Because overall, I do like the design. I appreciate the fact that you dropped the chimney heights by 12 inches, because I always hate seeing just things stuck up, when I feel that they're better, more flush with the wall. And, oh, you need to also look at the plants, at the weeds in the yard at the moment. You're going to have a lot of construction traffic going over, and you seem to have, I think there were a lot of thistles. I couldn't tell whether there was just trickier, but it would make it all worse. So weeding out as many of those as you can as soon as possible would be helpful for you when you're considering your landscape plan. But overall, I do like the design. I do think we need window coverings. The fence, the less we have a thing where we just go the less is more. So basically, that's what the whole plan needs, to be a little bit less. But other than that, I think it's a very good design. Right, thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Kenny, what are your thoughts?
Well, I agree with my fellow commissioners, I think on all accounts here, which I guess isn't that unusual. I appreciate the applicant's willingness to take advice on a lot of these issues, including the landscaping, for instance. I think it's clear that we would present a condition to change the landscaping, in particular to remove the Portugal laurel. And I think the same would go for the garage. I think I appreciate the applicant's willingness to go with an opaque garage. I would leave the option open for it not to be glass. I think the applicant and designers will likely find a solution, maybe not thin horizontal slats, but something like some kind of wood or another material that would work well and might be a bit easier to find or less costly than opaque glass. I support my fellow commissioners' request to see the sample of the exterior tile. I'm not personally too worried, given the low light reflectance value and the fact that if I understand the manufacturer's sheets on it, that it is a matte finish. I think it should be okay, but seeing that would help to confirm that. I also agree that the shades on the skylights and windows will be important, and it will be an affordance to the applicant as well, because these kinds of shades, especially the automatic ones, are very convenient, and they help to reflect the interior light at night back into the house. And overall, I think it being single story is a nice attention to what we like to see, and the low and open fences. I can't think of a native Portola Valley species that would have a serious problem passing through or over those kinds of fences, and not having it abutting the creek is certainly helpful. And I appreciate the applicant's attention to energy conservation as well. So I'm inclined to recommend approval with the conditions mentioned.
Great, thank you, Kenny. Well, my thoughts are very much like my colleagues. I really appreciate the fire resistive finishes, single story construction. The lot is quite flat. I noticed today it was a little bit boggy out there, so it's going to be a challenge conditioning that soil in a way that it'll actually sustain the planting and also make it possible to walk around. I like the overall approach. It's a little bit of an unusual project in that, as others have noted, it doesn't have as much impact on close by neighbors as it does on the general public. It's a very popular walking area. People from all over, at least our neighborhood and probably all over town, circulate through there. So it will be a bit of a showpiece in a way. And of course, anything that you're doing indoors at night may be pretty visible through all the glass. So I think it would be helpful to have some form of glass that has a little bit less light transmittance from the inside. Usually during the design process, the concern about light transmittance is from the outside in, because of solar gain, cooling issues and so on. Here in Portola Valley, our real concern is light spill. And if you can come up with a solution on the glass that prevents a good portion of the light spill, that would be very much appreciated. It will help at night. Also, I would highly recommend vacancy sensors. I know that for the light switches, I understand there are going to be at times a lot of people in the house, and particularly grandkids running around. You're going to want to have it pretty well lit. But rooms, especially if they're public facing rooms that are not being used at night, if there's a vacancy sensor switch that turns the lights off after 10 minutes of not detecting movement, for example, I think that would be a benefit to the community. I don't know that it's actually something in our jurisdiction to mandate, but I would highly recommend it. Skylights are the effectiveness of the skylights is going to be compromised somewhat by the solar panel installation. I assume you'll work around that with your solar panel plan. The good news is that having visited the site, I don't see how skylights are really going to affect neighbors, but they will contribute to sort of glow from the site at night. So please be careful not to place light fixtures that have any chance of shining up into the skylight, through the skylight, and consider shades, which may be helpful also on very hot summer days, but could be helpful at night to prevent light spill. You certainly don't need those skylights to bring light in at night. Let's see what else I have here. Yes, I think we need a physical sample of the wall tile, partly because it's also being used on the motor court wall, which is going to be a lot closer to public pathways. I like the idea of the wall tile. I just would like to make certain that it's not going to be too light and too reflective. So I believe that should become a condition of approval, just for a single ASCC member perhaps to review that sample. On the fencing issues, I appreciate two things about the fencing. One is that it doesn't surround the property entirely. And that it is not going to be installed along the creek bank. I was surprised at how much of a drop off there is from this property to the creek at that spot. I really was surprised. I had no idea. It's got to be 25 feet.
Yeah, I'm thinking 40.
Maybe more, 25 maybe, but anyways, quite a drop off. It is, there's an erosion process going on there. So something to keep an eye on for the future. But I appreciate that there is no fence there, so that any wildlife that's accessing the land from the creek won't be impeded. And the fences that are being installed are horse rail type fences with a lot of transparency. So small animals should be able to get through, and larger animals like deer should be able to get over the fence without a problem. And the fact that you're not fencing your, I'll call it your uphill neighbor, that property allows for pretty good wildlife circulation. So thank you for that thoughtfulness. I agree with Jane that the landscape in general is overplanted. I think you could reduce your water use a little bit, and maintenance costs, irrigation costs, any number of things by reducing the planting density. That's just sort of in general around the house. Along the creek area and in a couple of other locations, the sort of formality of the very linear planting just isn't appropriate for the neighborhood or for Portola Valley in general. I think it would be a very good idea to use a mix of species of shrubs, to stagger them, to create clusters, and really try to avoid a hedge type installation. I think that the landscape plan needs some reworking, and I believe it should also be reviewed before it's final. I would not, in my opinion, it doesn't need to be revised and approved before a building permit application is sought or even issued. Landscape is going to be somewhere down the road, but I think it does need to be revisited by at least one ASCC member. Let's see. Garage door. I have a particular thing about glass and garage doors, as Jane noted. And that's just based on the experience of seeing glass and garage doors that's backlit by flashing battery charger lights, maybe an EV charger, somebody inadvertently leaves a light on, and then that garage becomes the brightest spot in the neighborhood. So if you're willing to, I mean, you can certainly use glass with a frit on the back to make it opaque, or something that is at least 90% obscure. And garage is another location that I would recommend a vacancy sensor for lighting. If you're using the garage as a shop and you're in there and working, great, have lights on, but if there isn't anybody there and you forgot to turn off the light, it would be very nice to have it go off automatically. Exterior lighting, I think, it took me a while to comprehend, I would say, that the difference between what happens in the field and how it appears on the plan. Those bright green spots or yellow spots around the house on the plan make it look like there's a lot of lighting. But these are pretty modest fixtures. They're fairly low lumen and they are recessed in the overhang for the most part. There's a couple of sconces, but I think that the actual amount of exterior lighting is not excessive. I think it would be a very good idea to put it on zones. This is a pretty good size house, and there are certainly exterior areas that have light fixtures that you will not need to have those on, except in very rare circumstances. So if you can zone the lighting with that in mind, so that it's not all switched on simultaneously, that would be very helpful. Some of it is obviously designed for certain activities if you want to go out to the motor court, for example. But if you don't need a lighting in a certain area, it would be great not to turn it all on at the same time. And let's see. I think that addresses all of my concerns. I'm in favor of the project. I think it will fit in, if not necessarily architecturally in the rest of the neighborhood. It is a low profile, and I think it's an attractive design. I think it'll be interesting to look at. And as long as it's not overlit and over landscaped, it will be a very pleasant addition to the neighborhood. So that's all of my comments. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to chime in on? Al?
No, I'm in agreement.
Do you want to think about Judith's point about the
Can I chime in? Is that okay?
Give us a minute.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
I do have one thing on a similar topic. We did route the plans to the Trails Committee, and the chair indicated that they did not have any comments.
All right, thank you. Kenny, do you have anything else to add?
No, thanks.
Megan?
No, all good. I think we're all on the same path.
Okay, Bruce, what's
Yeah.
that you? Christian?
Yeah, I was gonna comment on some of the issues or concerns. As far as the inside lighting and exterior lighting, I look at lighting as in the daytime, the glass brings a light into the house. And at nighttime, I use lights so I can see not outside the house. So I will have window coverings, all electric window coverings on everything, because I want to be private in there too. I don't want anybody looking in, because when I have glass, when you have lights on, people can see in. But again, I'm using the glass just so in the daytime I get some light in there, because it's a little dark in that lot. And at night, I'm going to have shade coverings, so I have privacy. So I'm not trying to bring light out. I'm trying to bring light in, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
I mean, that's why I also don't have a lot of lights outside. I'm not trying to and I'm just doing the minimal lights outside, so it's just not a safety hazard, so I can see the steps where I walk out, but I don't want a lot of lighting either. I'm not trying to light up the whole lot or whatsoever at all. The garage door, I understand your situation. I'll do some kind of opaque glass so it doesn't shine anything through. I'm not a neutron system type of guy, so I'm not going to have a switch that turns the whole house on, the whole house off. I'm old school. I walk in, I turn a switch on, I turn it off, I walk out of the room. So I won't have any kind of special system where I fire up the whole house and then I fire it down from my master bedroom and any of that stuff. So that's not going to be an issue. The landscape, again, I'm not knocking my landscaper because he's not here to defend himself, but I'm fine with whatever you want. The landscape's not, I love I love the natural look of landscape too, and I'm not a landscape expert, so all these things you're saying make sense. I don't wanna. Only reason I think we put the wall of plants against one side of the house, the other side was I thought that the town might want that, so the neighbor wouldn't look into our property or was separate the properties, but if that's not what they're looking for, I could care less. I'm not trying to keep anybody from looking in or looking out, so whatever we do with the planning, yeah, is fine. And yeah, I don't want linear planning either. It won't go with Portola Valley whatsoever. I mean, it just won't for Portola Valley. I understand that 100%. So I can address the landscape and fix it. That's not a problem. The house, I tried to sit the house, and not that it mattered, but I did sit the house far back as I could without being on Georgia Lane, and I can't really go farther back. You can see if I went any farther back, I could have a problem with just how far the creek is and it's eroding. So we did make the effort to keep the house back, and not on Georgia Lane. I think we're so far back enough that it's not going to be an issue for people walking on the paths. We're not right on the street. We're pretty far back. Again, we're as back as far as we can go. It looks like a big house, but it's still 4,000 square feet. It's not gigantic. The most of the houses in the basement, you get another 1,800 feet. So it's not, you won't even see it. So even though the house looks kind of big, when you get it all said and done, it's not going to be this giant monstrosity on that big lot. Because that lot with the neighbor's lot looks like a pretty big piece of property. So it won't look like this monstrous piece of property on that location. I am going to go as much to solar as I can. I'm totally 100% on the solar again. I appreciate using the gas when we use it minimal. I'm going to use it from the cooktop, and I'm going to just figure out if heat pumps or gas water heaters will work. If I can use heat pumps, I will use the heat pumps instead of the gas. So the gas will be minimal at best what I'm using for gas for the house. A couple of things. I think that's all. I think I covered most everything. If anybody has any questions, let me know.
Great. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
Does anybody have a final question or two for the applicant team? All right. Well, I think we're at the point where we're ready to entertain a motion. Would somebody like to take charge of that?
I'll make a try.
All right,
And then you all can correct me if I don't get it quite right.
Could we add in the review of the landscape and the window and the garage as one of your,
Right.
okay.
Okay,
Sorry.
so I would move that we approve the project with the conditions specified by the planning staff, adding on that review an updated landscaping plan to address the laurel hedge and to potentially reduce the density of planting, review the motor court wall design, review the wall tile, and change the garage door either to opaque glass or some other material that is not, doesn't pass light.
All right. Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Great. Thank you. Any discussion or additional conditions people would like to propose? No, I see shaking heads.
To the motion maker, one member of ASCC to review those revised things.
I think one member is adequate here. I don't really think these changes are that significant.
Agreed.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
Yes, we have a motion and a second, and
I
both
got,
Kenny and Jane seconded.
yeah, I got Commissioner Wilson first. so
Okay.
That's who I got down.
Kenny, she beat you to it just barely. All right, so we'll do a roll call vote. Is that right, Laura?
Yes, please. Commissioner Chung,
Aye.
Vice Chair Koch,
Aye.
Commissioner Sill,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson, Chair Ross.
Aye. All right, that concludes item 1. And congratulations on navigating through the process.
Thank you.
You have a little bit more to go, but you're well on your way.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all your help and effort, you guys. And, yeah, and then again, Ralph, thanks for all your help.
Yeah,
Or-
commission, thank you, commissioners, all of you. Should we work with staff specifically? Will we be instructed as to whom we should address future plans to?
Yeah, Ralph will give you the instructions, but you'll get the
Yes.
approval with the conditions of approval.
Okay,
And then you
very
can
well.
implement those in the building permit phase.
Okay, very well.
Thank you again. I really appreciate it. Thank you. We're very excited to get this started. Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, let's get back to the agenda here. We have no other items of new business. I don't think we have any old business to conclude. So we have item 2 is commission reports. Commissioners, have any of you participated in any efforts since our last meeting that need to be noted? None for Jane, none for Al, none for me.
None for
Everybody's
me.
in their heads.
Okay.
It's been a quiet time. All right. I'll open public comment on commission reports just for the formality of it. I don't imagine there's anybody that wishes to speak up on that subject.
No, there are no hands up.
All right, I'll close.
Oh, wait,
public comment.
there is a
Oh,
hand up from Rita.
Oh, hello, Rita. You're on.
Hi, thank you for taking my comment. As I, one of my landlines was not working this morning because of all that lovely liquid sunshine we had. And there's still that trailer on the corner of Westridge and Alpine Road. And of all the committees in town, since I've talked to just about everyone, please, next week we'll make it a year that that trailer is there. If anyone had a porta potty that was out, it would be covered. And I don't know if since the last meeting when I mentioned it, if anyone has gone by. I was hoping to hear that somebody had gone by to see it or made some type of assessment, but I didn't just hear that in the commissioner's report. So please, if someone can commit to go by there, see how it can be covered, see how it can be possibly removed. And I know it's not, you guys aren't the remover type people, but perhaps it can be covered. A fence can be put around it, something can be put around it. And maybe the town will then do the next steps on how it could go away. But I hope that somebody in this group can commit to looking into this particular issue. Corner of Westridge, Alpine Road. It's been there for a year. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Rita. Any other comments?
There are no other hands up.
All right, I'll close public comment on commission reports. Move to item 3, which is staff report. And Laura, do you have anything for us today?
I do, yes. Some updates on scheduling related things that are coming up that even though it's the holidays, there's a lot going on still. So I wanted to keep you updated on that. So you all know that on Wednesday, the 14th, the new council members are going to be sworn in. There's an item on that agenda for the council, which is an update on the housing element process. So it's been a while since we've been to council. So we're going to touch base with them and update new council members. So that's coming up if anyone's interested in listening to that. And then I think you all know that the town is closed from December 24th through January 2nd, reopening on January 3rd. Then right away, when we get back, we expect to have a planning commission meeting on January 4th related to the housing element. So that's the whole package of the whole housing element, the zoning, conforming general plan amendments, and CEQA review is expected all on January 4th. And then the town council, we're expecting to review the housing element over the 3 following weeks in January. So potential meeting dates would be January 11th, 18th, and 25th, depending on the council's direction. So folks should keep their eye open for updates on that schedule. Then for the ASCC schedule, we anticipate canceling the January 9th meeting. So those of you that are continuing on the ASCC, please take note of that. We do anticipate holding the January 23rd meeting. And so depending on how the recruitment and appointment of new members goes, we will need to make sure we have a quorum for that meeting. So I'll be in touch with everyone. So that's my formal staff report. For my informal staff report, I'd like to take a moment on behalf of all of the staff team to thank two amazing commissioners who have served on this commission with so much dedication and so much skill. So Megan, thank you so much. Dave, thank you so much. In my professional experience, it's very rare that we have commissioners that have this level of experience, this level of commitment that you have shown on this group. And it's really been an incredible pleasure always to work with both of you. I can't even begin to quantify your contributions. And so it's very hard for us to see you go. We don't want you to. And we understand also at the same time very much all of the reasons why this timing is right for both of you. And so please know that all of us on our little staff team are sending you all of our best wishes for the next steps for you. So we are sending you all of our appreciation, all of our love, and all of our thanks.
Here, here.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
So is this a good time for us to also make comments?
I think it would be.
Okay,
Sure.
well, so could I jump in? I think that the two of you will really be missed. I mean, Megan, I think your attention to detail, the way you always kept an eye on lights and the environmental impact has been spectacular, and it'd be very difficult for us to fill your shoes. And you know, Dave, I think you've just been the perfect model of how to be an effective chair. Very knowledgeable, but how you interact with the public, I think, is professional, and how you interact with the staff and the applicants is exemplary. We're going to have a tough time filling your shoes also, and I personally have really enjoyed my time working with both of you.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you.
I would say thank you both for helping to teach me the ropes on how to serve as a commissioner on the ASCC. I learned a great deal from both of you, and will do my best to help carry the torch on the things that I know you both are concerned about for the town.
Thanks, Kenny.
And I'd also like to say that I'm going to miss both of you very much on this commission, and I can't say too much, otherwise I might cry. I have said before when talking to Dave about things that I need to channel my inner Dave when commenting on things, because he always maintains such a professional air and so calm that it steadies the rest of us. I mean, you're like the captain of our ship. So what we're going to do without you, I do not know. And ditto with Megan, with everything, all the attention you pay to the details, and you come up with a comment and I think, oh, why didn't I think of that? So it's going to be a very different commission next year. I don't think it'll be as good, but but I have to say that we will miss both of you very much. And of course, you're always welcome to come back anytime.
I'm sure we'll be coming to a lot of the meetings.
Okay, public comment and everything. So thank you both very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for your comments. It's been a great honor. I had some initial misgivings about serving on a public commission, but I have gained a lot from my time doing so. Getting to know more people in town than I would have in any other way. And that includes elected officials, appointed committee and commission members, and is also very much true for staff. I have enjoyed over the years getting to know staff members as they come and go, and have always been impressed by the level of professionalism and the commitment of our town staff. Great support from the town council, planning commission members, all of the other committees that help contribute to our quality of life here. And I should also say that, and I know this is true for all committee, commission members and elected officials, the often unrecognized, unheralded support network that we have among our family and friends. And I would not have entered in this service or been able to maintain it without the support of friends, and in most particular, my wife, who graces us with her presence tonight. Thank you for coming. So it's been good. And I'm sure every now and then I'll check and see how things are going. I have every confidence that there will be new members who contribute. They'll go through a learning process just like we all do. The three of you that remain will guide them well. And I know that you'll provide a lot of leadership too.
Are we allowed to call you? Both of you?
Sure. You know the number. Feel free to call. But I have every confidence that the ASCC will continue to do a great job over the coming years. So it's time for me to sign off, but I'm confident that things will go really well in the future.
Thank you.
So I guess I'll say a couple of things too. So I guess, Dave, did you think that I've been 11 years now on the committee? Is that what you're thinking?
I think so.
I think so, because if you've been 10, I've been, I was just a little bit before you. So I've really enjoyed every year, you know, even when there's some challenging projects and whatnot, but I love Portola Valley. This is where I grew up. I'm passionate about this town, and I think we have very intelligent, creative, respectful community members, and we're doing a hard job. You know, it's not always easy, but the calm, the understanding, the rational and transparency of our ASCC, I think, is genuine, and is why we do get more accolades than we do the negative. So I really enjoyed it. And I know you'll find two great commissioners that will come in and learn from you. And Dave and I are, of course, always available for advice. And I see it as a good time for some new people to come in with a great perspective. And I'll miss you all, of course. And when I'm back in town, I hope to see you around. But thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. And of course, to the whole staff as well.
Thanks, Megan.
All right, before I close this item, I should invite members of the public who would like to address us on staff reports to do so now.
Let's start with our planning commission liaison, Judith Haskell.
Judith.
Yeah, this is just a very quick thank you. It's a really heartfelt thanks to Megan and to Dave. You embody the best of Portola Valley volunteerism, and it's been a real pleasure to work with you. So please do keep in touch. Our warmest thoughts are with you.
Thanks.
And John Richards, our council liaison.
Okay, my turn. Now, well, I'm really impressed. You've been on as long as you have. I only managed to, I think I was on for 7 years on ASCC. It is a really tough, nitty gritty job for sure. And you guys did a great job. So thanks so much. And I'm sure we'll see you around. We'll all be kind of off the town treadmill for a little while anyway, I guess. So we'll see you there.
be able to talk to each
John,
other.
I have to say I benefited a lot from my overlap with you
Great. Glad to hear it.
for breaking me in.
All right. Jay.
Any other members of the public?
Rita has her hand up. I'm not sure if it's left over, but let's find out. Here's Rita.
Rita, you're on if you'd like to speak.
Well, my hand wasn't up, but I want to, I'm listening to these accolades and I want to thank each of you, especially, you know, the two that are departing, for your service to the community. Because after you leave, guess what? You're still part of our beloved community. And, you know, maybe you could be on a ad hoc committee that ASCC might need, or a liaison for the residents to ask you a question or three. But thank you so much for your service, and look forward to seeing who else comes in, or yeah, I don't know when those applications are going to be coming in, but you know, you guys will end up getting Kenny, and he's been a great addition to the group and giving a different perspective. And with the number of turnover since I bought my property in 2009 in this town, you know, there are a lot of new people, and they're coming in with different ideas. And so looking forward to seeing what that brings to this commission for the next 20 years. But thank you for your service, and thank you, John. We'll see you around, John.
Thank you, Rita. Laura, anybody else?
Yeah, Caroline has her hand up.
Hello, Carolyn. You may be muted.
Good evening. Well, thank you to all the members of ASCC, because we value you so much. You represent us, the residents. And it was kind of new news tonight that Dave and Megan are leaving. So I'm kind of surprised, but I didn't want to leave before thanking you. You seem like a real mentor, and you will be missed, but hopefully we will see you more around during our walks, and perhaps during the live town council meetings. So thank you so much for all your service. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your comments. Anybody else, Laura?
No, that's it.
All right. I'll close item 3, staff reports. We have one item of business left, and that is to review and approve the minutes of our last meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review them? Does anybody have corrections or comments?
I don't. I thought there was one error in them. The minutes start off saying that the meeting was a telecon meeting only, and it was actually a hybrid meeting. Other than that, it all was right.
Good catch. Great catch. All right. Will someone make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. There's a motion and a second. Laura, will you call the roll for the vote?
Commissioner Chung,
Aye.
Vice Chair Koch,
Aye.
Commissioner Sill.
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Chair Ross.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Very good. My final vote. Well, thank you all. And thanks everybody for attending. Members of the public in particular, it's always gratifying to see people interested in town business. With that, I'll close the meeting and sign off. And I think this is the final meeting of the year. So happy end of year and happy holidays to everybody.
Yes. Happy everything, everyone.
Thank you,
Happy
everyone.
Holiday.
Good night.
Good night.